Hello everybody and welcome back to Victoria, where we are currently still working on dealing with this deficit. It'll happen eventually, where this deficit will go away. But for now, we're currently chilling on a 15 to 30k deficit. We could crank up taxes for sure. That's something we might consider doing after we get universal suffrage. That will increase our current government's legitimacy by 4. What is our current legitimacy at? 93? Okay. So we're currently gaining, I believe, plus 5 legitimacy for being at this level of taxes, right? Yeah, 5 legitimacy for that. So right now, we're not in a position where we want to bump up our taxes in terms of legitimacy. We'd like to remain in a righteous government. How is this election looking? Yikes. Okay, so we're going to have to make probably an intelligentsia and trade unions. More momentum to the National Liberation Alliance is not bad here. We're probably going to have to make a coalition between the intelligentsia and trade unions here. That's going to be looking at about almost 60% of the vote. Actually, better than that now. Okay, so 35.8, 25.1. So that's likely what we're looking at. So we're currently at a contested government 62. We're going to reform our government, and that puts us up to 76. So just up into legitimate. We'll confirm that, and then this will increase our current government's legitimacy by plus 5. So that is going to put us up to 81, which is not going to be a righteous government, but given our election results there, I can't say that that's surprising. However, our universal suffrage went up to 89%. So that seems relatively okay. Are we in a position right now where we wouldn't drop down if we raise taxes? The answer is no. So we need to not raise taxes yet. We will raise taxes very soon, but this is not the time. Okay, we need universal suffrage to pass first. Once that goes through, we should be okay to raise taxes. And that will go a long ways towards dealing with this deficit. 27.6k, and keep in mind, we're paying 16.7k in interest right now. That is half of our deficit, is interest. So once we get this turned around even the smallest amount, it's going to start looking real good around here. So that is excellent. We just need to pretty much just balance the budget, not even have too much of a surplus. So that's great. We're going to continue to work on these synthetics plants and glassworks. How is the price on glass at this point? The answer is 33%. Okay, sure. So I'm wondering about input goods for glass. I think that we determined that the issue was that we just needed to expand our glass. Lack of infrastructure in Ciara. Okay, that needs to be worked on for sure. Market access in Ciara is going to be a big issue. In fact, we have a lot of market access issues. This needs to be addressed. To that end, I do not believe that we need these glassworks anymore. This is likely just a market access issue, not a production issue. So I'm going to cancel these glassworks, and we're going to work on these textile mills for sure. We're going to move up this textile mill like this, and then this one like this. That'll be good enough for now. Okay, so the existing glasswork that we have some production in will be fine, but we absolutely need to work through our market access issues. Okay, so let's work on railway. Each of these is going to be 25 infrastructure. So we need 2 levels of railway here. Hang on. No, we don't. This is because we unsubsidized our railways. This is just indicating to us which railways do need to be subsidized. And this is one of them. Cool. So we're going to subsidize this railway. That should be fine. And now we need to go into our other locations here. So Santa Catarina, this should be subsidized. So we're going to do that. Then we've got this one here. This should... I don't know that this one needs to be subsidized, but I'm going to do it anyway. Then we've got Lima. This one, again, maybe doesn't need to be subsidized. You know what? Let's just take this back in here. Revoke that subsidy. We're just going to subsidize the one in Ciara for now. for sure. That is definitely a location that we will subsidize the railway. That's clearly necessary. So that's fine. And we're going to hire in here, in theory. We are subsidizing this. There are only 12 employees here. They won't try again until 17 March. Okay, so that's this next week. Cool. So they should start to go again here. And let's see what this ends up doing. Okay, so yeah, they definitely hired in there. That looks good. So we certainly need subsidization here. Some of these other locations, I'm not convinced that we need subsidization in. Like, for example, here. Transportation is expensive. So I think it's probably relatively okay to not subsidize this. In theory. We're also at 99%, right? But in locations like, well, this, we definitely need that. In this location, yes, this absolutely needs to be subsidized. So if it's below, like, 90%, I'm currently thinking that we should probably go ahead and subsidize. This is a situation where this almost certainly needs to be subsidized. We've got this one over here. This almost certainly needs to be subsidized. What about here? Yeah, we could definitely do that. And then here as well. Yes, this should be subsidized. No, don't auto-expand that. This should just be subsidized. Okay. And then in Santiago, I would like this to also be subsidized for now. So let's see what that does. Hopefully, Ecuadorian people are migrating to home counties. Okay, sure. That is understood. It's not surprising they would be doing that. So that is okay. So what are we paying for subsidies right now? Okay, that's way cheaper than what we were paying for them. So that is a bonus for sure. Okay, so we're keeping an eye on this market access. That is definitely improving across the board. And that's good. That's exactly what we want to see. But a lot of these are not really in a position right now where they truly need to be subsidized. Yeah. This is looking much better. Let's check in on those subsidy costs. 4.43K. Okay, noted. Market access in Ciara is up to 80. A lot of these are going to be chilling at like mid-90s, and I'm hoping that slowly over time they'll populate up their railways. That's the idea anyway. So we've got situations like this one, right? This is actually going to need to be subsidized. This is going to be a problem in the future. So we're going to subsidize that one. But like Bahia here, this might actually need subsidization. I think a big part of the problem is engine price right now. So engine price, if I recall correctly, was an input goods issue. Let's check in on our motor industries here. So we've got in La Paz, it's relatively okay. But in Santa Catarina, we don't have any employees. So why is that? 19%, minus 6%, minus 19%. They're just not willing to work for the wage that's being given. Okay. So that's not really anything that we can do anything about. The workforce here in Bahia is just not where it needs to be to get that for now. So that's understood. There's insignificant amounts of peasants and unemployed, and that's fine. We may want to consider building motor industries in some locations that actually does have peasants, like in La Paz, where there are 2 queued. So I'm going to queue up an additional 3 in La Paz for right now. That'll be fine. We're going to put coal mines here, textile mills here. This is fine. This is relatively fine. Okay, so we're going to get going on that, and that should help out these market access issues. Now, we've got a transportation shortage here in Brazilian Jujuy, and I would like to do something about that. That should mean that this probably does need to be subsidized. So we'll do that for now. 8.85K, that is still a significant reduction in our subsidies. So let's take a look at our market prices here. This is more like where I expect them to be. Good. So I want to be sorted by market price here. Yeah, this is looking pretty decent. Engines definitely need to be worked on. No doubt about that. and I think that La Paz is absolutely the location to do it. So Bolivia is dropping in its diplomacy, but we're actually kind of economically dependent on Bolivia, which is kind of strange, but we are kind of economically dependent on them, specifically for clothing, and we're becoming more dependent on them for motor industries. So I think that we should just continue to work on dropping down their liberty desire the way we have been. I think it's okay for the time being, and we kind of need their production methods, because I don't want to change some of ours, and we would have to without Bolivia. So it seems fine. We're going to get universal suffrage here extraordinarily quickly, and that looks good. So we're building quite a lot over in La Paz. I want to check in right now. 784,000 peasants and about 4,000 unemployment. So very low unemployment numbers. Peasant numbers are not so low. I think a lot of that has to do with our literacy rate. I think that those peasants don't have the qualifications to work in industrial jobs, and we're not really building them much for agricultural or like general laborer jobs, so it's not necessarily ideal for them, but eventually they will learn how to read, and then they'll have the qualifications that they need, in theory. So we have universal suffrage. We did not vote for Pedro, indeed. Okay, so we have universal suffrage. That puts us at minus 47 authority. Not shocking, but we're at an 82 legitimate government. That means that we can afford to raise taxes to the median rate. That's wonderful. And we're down to 2.74 million radicalism. Beautiful. If we had a technocracy, that would be 163k, 278k for legal guardianship, and 369k for interventionism. I'm not too concerned about any of that, to be honest. Yeah, I'm not particularly concerned about it. Now, we could do wage subsidies. I'm not sure how much that would actually hurt us. We're paying almost nothing in welfare, as it is right now. So that is definitely a thing. We're on charity hospitals right now. We could go down to public health insurance. That would be interesting. Industrialists and the Catholic Church would oppose it, but that wouldn't be too bad. Standard of living and pollution effects reduction would be good. And the mortality reduction would be very good for us too. I think we're going to try to roll this, but this may or may not happen. It's not a hugely great chance at this moment. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not really convinced that that's going to happen. We'll see. It would be nice to have those effects, but I'm not really holding my breath that that actually happens. So we're finishing up a textile mill. That seems good. These motor industries are being worked on. We're definitely seeing the price of clothing and engines dropping. That seems good. There's nothing else that's too bad, although silk is definitely a thing. And we may want to start thinking about getting... Okay, these synthetics plants would just be flat negative. Noted. Rubber has been discovered in Ecuador. That seems good. I want to check into our synthetics plants. We're on art silk, right? Oh, we can go down to steel hulls. We'd have to go to ironclads to do that. Engines would spike in price. Engines are already an issue, so I'm going to hold off on that for right now. I think we'll get to that, but we're not yet there. So art silk is, of course, going to be a bit of a thing. It'll take some time there. Wood consumption for that, huh? Okay. That is certainly noted. So we're barely running a deficit right now, although there is a small one. 24k in interest. That is significant. More rubber discovered in Ecuador. Sounds good. And let's get these motor industries online. A revolution in France. Okay. I wish them luck with that one. Wow, Canada is currently having a capitalist revolt. I wish them luck with that one, too. So that all seems relatively good. We're going to get these motor industries finished in just a few weeks here. I don't think we're in a position to attack New Granada or Venezuela. That is correct. So we can't really attack either of these right now. So we just need to be working on our economy, getting Bolivia into the fold, and continuing to compete with Great Britain a little bit. down over this way. We'll get there. So let's see what happens with public health insurance. This is going to be very interesting. It all comes down to these first couple rolls here. And what are our roll odds? Okay, 52% chance of debate, 30% chance of stall. It progressed. Remarkable. Okay, well, that's not expected. I was expecting a debate there, but okay. Sure, we'll take it. So there's a movement to preserve charity hospitals, but that seems okay. Conveyors have been unlocked, and that is, of course, a very good thing, but it's going to lead to possibly some issues going forward. That's understood. I want to hop over to society at this point. I want to start thinking about getting, like, identification documents, I think. No. I want a production method that is going to increase our bureaucracy from our existing government administrations. So investment banks would not really be that. I don't think corporatism would be that. Do we not have anything that would do that right now? Hang on. Let's check in on our setup right now on those. Where are they? Oh, this is under urban. No wonder. Okay. So we're going to go down to our government administrations here. Telephone switchboards. Okay, we need central planning for that. So how far away are we from central planning? That is here. Noted. So we would need identification documents first, and I guess we can get that. So identification documents into central planning is going to take some time, but I think that's relatively okay-ish. Now we're about to hit 1900, so that is definitely something to think about. And I want to check in on the current price of engines, 25%. Okay, so we've got a bunch of production methods that we can put in, right? And we probably do want to think about that. So assembly lines, we need our states to have access to electricity. Okay, so that is something that we're going to need to do. I don't want to do this right now, but I want to build a power plant eventually. One power plant in every single state. Not two here in Sao Paulo. Only the one for right now. I want every state to be electrified, but this is going to be a long-term project. We're putting this at the bottom of the list. This is not going at the top of the list, and this is going to be definitely a thing. Input goods are engines. Noted. So we're going to need to get some engine production going first, almost certainly. But we'll just do something kind of like that. So we now have 5 years in our construction queue. That's not too bad. I actually expected that to be higher. Okay, we'll take it. So that all looks good for now. Public health insurance may actually pass since we got that success roll. We'll see what happens with it. But we're definitely very, very interested in getting this deficit dealt with. Our interest is currently higher than our deficit, which means that if we were to pause construction for a little bit and pay off a little bit of debt, we'd probably be okay. Market access in Lima is a bit of an issue, so we can hop in over here and see if we need to subsidize this. We shouldn't need to. This is growing. This just needs to employ people. This should not require subsidization. Let's see what happens on this tick. Okay. It's not going to try again until 23 February, but that should be relatively fine. Alto Paraguay, what do we got going on there? Here we absolutely need to subsidize, so we will do that. That looks good. The rest of these are over 90%, so I'm not going to be too concerned about that. We do have a transportation shortage in Mendoza. This is fully maxed out, so we actually do need another railway here. We'll get going on that. That apparently bumps us up to 6 years in our construction queue. Okay, sure. That is, of course, minus 10% construction efficiency. And now we're on 7? What? No, that must be a rounding issue. Okay, so this seems fine for now. Do we really need this number of construction mills? Or rather, clothing mills. I don't think so. We're down to 22%. I'm going to cancel these textile mills. I'm guessing they're not required. Even if they are, private construction will probably get them. I think we're okay on the textile mills for the moment. That'll probably require more work later on. But let's see what happens with public health insurance here. debate. That's what I expected to see. Okay, so 20% enactment success chance. That's really solid. So that bumps us up to 35. That pulls it out of the debate, not out of the stall. So that's not ideal, but it'll have to do. We're currently running a surplus, and that is temporary. We're now running a deficit again, but we will get there. Our GDP is definitely cruising on upward, and that's looking great. So these textile mills, 4 weeks away from finishing, and the iron mines and lead mines mean that we are getting back towards building, like, laborer-level jobs. And that's excellent. There's going to be a bunch of wheat farms, livestock ranches, coffee plantations. Those will build fairly quickly. The primary majority of this build time is going to be in these power plants. No doubt about that. So what do we got going on in Lima at this time? The answer is we've still got 6K people here. We've got a positive weekly balance, but we're just not hiring in people because people aren't willing to work at this rate, I think. Yeah, they're not willing to work for a wage of 4.46. They would accept a wage of 5.63. What this means is we need to drop the price of engines a bit. It's still at plus 39%. So I would very much like to do that. Let's take a look at our engine situation. We could subsidize engine production, but I don't think that's strictly necessary. We've got most of our engine production in La Paz right now because we're not hiring in Santa Catarina. In Sao Paulo, however, we are full on hiring. So let's build 2 in Sao Paulo and call it good. So we'll do something like that, and let's get this railway up to the top. Let's move this iron mine to about here, and then we'll keep this lead mine. Actually, I'm going to move the lead mine down, and we're going to put the lead mines something a bit more like this. There, that'll do. So that looks good. We're going to work on the cost of iron, the cost of lead. We're going to get a railway going. We're going to work on the motor industry cost, and we're up to 35% on public health insurance. That looks decent, all things considered. Now, what do we have going on in Bahia right now? The answer is our railway is not fully hired in. That's understandable. Do we even want to be on wooden passenger carriages? We could go down to cargo prioritization, and that would drop the transportation production, which would raise the price of transportation, which would also, in theory, make this a little bit more economically viable. In theory. Okay, now we're hiring in. The price goes up. Let's see what happens on this week tick. We may end up subsidizing this. I would rather not if we can help it. 91% market access? Okay. Noted. It's attempting to hire 2,375 employees a week. So it is actually hiring, but that seems okay. So we have a donation of knowledge here. We'll take a university for sure. Infertile grounds, and that is going to be trade union interest group attraction, which seems okay. And we're going to have to take a setback here, unfortunately, but that will boost us up to a 40% success chance. Okay. Again, that's mostly coming out of the debate, which isn't surprising. So we're still at 6.2K over here. I would really rather not subsidize this, but I'm going to end up doing it. And in Lima, we're probably going to end up subsidizing it as well. Again, I would really rather not, but it's not growing of its own accord right now. We might revisit that after we get the price of engines down a bit. Railway in Amazonas, we don't have one right now. Where is that queued? There are no owned levels. It must be in the private construction queue. Let's see here. Yeah. Railway in Amazonas. Okay. That's going to take some time. That seems okay. That will solve the market access just on its own. So nothing needing to be done there. Private construction has got it. So no problem. Looks good. We're to get a couple of motor industries in Sao Paulo very shortly here, but it is time to put a cut in here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and next episode, we're going to turn this deficit around. It's going to go positive, and we are, at that point, going to start paying down this interest, and that's going to be really, really good for us. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Atala, Andy Magar, Ali Lee, Dark Horse, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Tommy Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.